like that seriously.
But people have gone to the White House doing just that. Richard Nixon got reelected and I did peace in Vietnam, right? I mean, so I guess what I'm saying is that they never are what they appear to be. So how do we know who's the good guy and who's the bad guy?
Some are more, some are. I think Reagan was he first of all had a track record, and he did follow through on most of the things that he talked about.
That's interesting.
But I don't think we can afford to wait for another Ronald Reagan. It could be a few generations from now before that happens.
So, Thomas, none of the ones you see out there now in the hustlings are impressing you?
Oh, there are some I think are very promising, and I'd like to know more about them. Among them, Scott Walker, and especially I think Bobby Jindal. I mean, he really talks sensibly and like an adult, and it's one of the reasons he's not in the top tier.
Yeah, in other words, some of the prescriptions aren't exactly received well. If this is the way this country is going, and we don't talk to the other side, Ronald Reagan, was very good at talking to Tip O'Neill and not saying it was all his way or the highway. Those days are gone, and I wonder if we'll ever get him back, and that is part of the problem as well.
It is, but also the Republicans have this notion that if they want to attract various groups that they're not doing well with, that what they need to do is to pander to those specific groups. They've forgotten completely that there were a group of people called the Reagan Democrats.
That's right.
People who normally vote for the Democrats, but who voted for Ronald Reagan. And he didn't get them by pretending that he was a Democrat. He got them by showing how his agenda was going to be beneficial to them and attracting them to him rather than going to them and trying to meet them where they are. And just pandering to what they already believe.
Yeah, I always think it his first day is working with those Southern boll weevil Democrats and making them part of a broad coalition that would cut taxes, et cetera. But that was then. This is now. The argument is we're too, divided and divisive, and that the media plays into that. Do you agree with that?
Yes, but it's also true that if you would make some serious attempt to present your principles, if you have any, to blacks, Hispanics, other groups, Asian Americans, I think would be a particular group that should be easy for the Republicans to appeal to, but they don't. And if you listen only to the Washington consultants, you can keep losing a lot of elections even when the odds are in your favor.
We had stocks down a lot today, Thomas, and this obsession with the markets, but not nearly as many individuals participate in the markets as they used to. Do you think that candidates and those in power focus too much on these markets? In other words, obsess too much?
What markets are you talking about?
Stock market.
Actually, an awful lot of people are participating in the stock market, whether they realize it or not, because their pensions are often invested in the stock market. As mine is.
But is it too, and you're feeling that pain, to your detriment, to their detriment?
Well, it depends on at what time. The market's gone down a lot this year. On the other hand, if you compare where it was when I first started having my pension there, it's doubled.
All right, but I guess what I'm talking about when I look at this big sell-off today is that the Federal Reserve did what it did, we're told, to try to keep satisfying the markets, and it obviously boomeranged to me.
I try not to think about the Federal Reserve, but oh my gosh, when you think what the Federal Reserve was set up to do, to reduce economic downturns, prevent inflation, keep banks from failing, all of those things reached record high after the Federal Reserve was created. They were never as bad before the Federal Reserve was created. And I think if anyone wanted to seriously justify the existence of the Federal Reserve with facts and logic, they would have a very big problem ahead of them.
Thomas Sowell, Wealth, Poverty, and Politics, now adding the Federal Reserve to his long list of enemies. The former Federal Reserve governor on that after this. Thank you, Mr. Sowell. Good seeing you again. Safe weekend.
Thank you. Bye-bye.